If you're looking for Vikings videos, well, we're not quite the Vikings. We're the Minnesota Vikings, keeping you up to date on everything going on around the NFL team. Now, don't get me wrong. I love watching Vikings stab some people here and there, conquering stuff. It's all good. But if you're looking for the latest news and rumors around the Minnesota Vikings, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get this channel to 4,000 subs. What's going on? You're watching Vikings Now. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to give you 5 superstar players that the Vikings could go out and potentially trade for. This offseason taught me that literally anything's possible. So with it being the offseason, I wanted to have a little bit of fun here. Not only are you going to see 5 players' names, you're also going to see 5 wild trade ideas. But before we get into all these ideas, I want to know, what year did the Vikings play their first season in the NFL? We're going to do a little bit of trivia on today's show, and at the very end of today's segment, I am going to give you the answer. Shout out to the first person who's going to get it right, though. What year did the Vikings play their first season in the NFL? Let's go to the first name here on my list, and some of you are going to be like, wait a minute. Why Kyler Murray? The Vikings just paid Kirk Cousins $35 million. The reason is this. Kirk Cousins is average. And if you ever want to take the next step in the NFL, I'm a big believer that you can't have an average quarterback. Now, sure, it's definitely a tale of 2 seasons for Murray. His first 8 games, arguably the MVP frontrunner, 2,276 passing yards, total touchdowns 20. The Cardinals had a 7-1 record. You lose DeAndre Hopkins. You lose a few other key pieces on the offense. And even on the defense as well, the Cardinals, the last 7 games, go 2-5. 9 total touchdowns, 5 total turnovers. I'll also mention that Murray wasn't 100% healthy either. But the real question comes down to this. Do you believe that Kyler Murray is an upgrade over Kirk Cousins? My answer to that would be a simple yes. And it's not even a kind of a thinking about it type of thing. It is a very simple yes style of answer. For Kirk Cousins, then, you'd have to figure out what is his next plan, because if I was an NFL team, I wouldn't want to pay Kirk Cousins $35 million. So the reason why you're going to see here in my trade that Cousins isn't going to Arizona is because I don't see Cousins being a good fit for what Arizona's offense tries to do, which is really, truly air the ball out deep. That's not Cousins' strong suit. So if you go ahead and you make a deal like this, where you're giving up your 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick this year, and then a second-round pick next year, you better also at least get something. I don't know what that something is yet for Cousins, because a lot of the hungry, quarterback-needy teams, they have already made their moves. But who knows? If you want to be able to compete, go ahead and make yourself a nice little splash. When in terms of, all right, how much money would it cost? I mean, you're going to be looking at this Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford style of range of how much money you'd go out and pay Kyler. I believe that he'd be closer to Allen type of money because of when you look at a lot of the little logistics of Murray's agent and whatnot. But I get it. It's a lot of money. So be honest with me here, guys. Do you want to trade for Kyler Murray? If you don't want to, it's totally fine. I actually do not blame you. The other reason why we brought up Murray is because there's a lot of rumors around him, and also part of our show here at Chat Sports is not only keeping you guys up to date with what's going on with the Vikings, but also what's going on around the National Football League. So why for yes and for no do you want to go out and trade for Kyler Murray? The next name on here makes a lot of sense for Minnesota, especially a team that needs a corner, and it's James Bradberry. When Bradberry first got his start with the Carolina Panthers, I was one of the people like, all right, this kid has the opportunity to be that next shutdown corner, to be the next person where, I don't know if I'm going to go as far as Revis Island or Bradberry Island, but he had a lot of upside. In 2020, he had a better year than what he had last season in 2021. And when you consider the fact that the New York Giants are trying to move on from his contract, and whatever team ends up taking on Bradberry, they're going to have to pay him $13.4 million. But you lose your defensive coordinator, new staff in town. Bradberry's a talented player, and one of the biggest needs out there right now for Minnesota is the cornerback position. So, do you know, or do it now, excuse me, I can't read. Name a player you want to go out and trade for. If there's just another, like, big-name star player out there, you're like, this guy would make a lot of sense in Minnesota, let me know down in the comments section. So here's my trade idea. It does sound like the Giants, they've been looking for a 4th and they would settle potentially for a 5th-round pick for him. However, what happens if you go after the draft, after June 1st, and still nobody has shown any interest, and you want James Bradberry gone to clear that money off your books? Then you end up settling, which may be the case. Now, obviously, in this scenario, okay, I'm doing it before the NFL draft, or else this pick is already gone. So the Vikings, they get James Bradberry. The New York Giants get the 6th overall pick, 191 overall. Where exactly would he fit? I think you could slide him in on top then. Sounds kind of weird. Above Cameron Dantzler, who's been another player who's been rumored to multiple different teams last offseason being interested in a potential trade. So sure, you got an aging Patrick Peterson. I still think actually James Bradberry, though, at this current moment is a better corner than Patrick Peterson. You slide Peterson as your cornerback, too. Who knows? Maybe you can even throw Dantzler as your nickel corner. The next name I know is going to excite a lot of people, and it's DK Metcalf, the Seahawks star wide receiver. I understand that Seattle has said they do not want to trade him, but they also said the exact same damn thing about Russell Wilson, and 3 days later they traded him to the Denver Broncos. What it comes down to is this. Can you pay DK, and do you have enough draft assets to be able to move on and go out and get a player who can help your offense? Because does Minnesota necessarily need another receiver at this current moment? No. I'll give a major shout out to KJ Osborne. I thought he really stepped up last season for the Vikings. Here's the thing, though. Adam Thielen, who has always been one of my favorite players out there, he's 34 years old, getting up there in age. And if you want to have a young, just loaded offense, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, you have 2 stud star wide receivers, both under the age of 25, going forward in a division that has, realistically, once Aaron Rodgers is gone, there's not a lot there because Chicago, I don't know if I believe in them. I will never believe in the Detroit Lions, and you're setting yourself up for the future. So here's the trade idea that I got going down here. You give away your 1st-round pick, number 12 overall. You give away your 3rd-round pick, 77 overall. You give up your 2nd-round pick next year, and in return, the Vikings get DK Metcalf. You're probably going to have to pay him $23-24 million because that's basically what Stephon Diggs just got, and you're also going ahead and getting a 5th-round pick. If any of these deals go down, we've never gone live on this Viking show. We might go live. I mean, I'm just saying, if a deal like this goes down, I would be telling the bosses at Chat Sports that we should be able to go live. So essentially, if you want more Vikings videos, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. The next big name player is another absolute superstar, and it's Deebo Samuel. Let's face it, Deebo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers, he unfollowed everyone on San Francisco, okay? He unfollowed everyone from the 49ers, and now people are wondering, well, does that mean he wants out? He wants a pay raise. He's probably going to end up wanting like Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill type of money. He had 56 carries last season, 8 touchdowns, became the first wide receiver in NFL history with 8 touchdowns. And considering the fact that the Vikings, whether you want to believe it or not, are a run-first style of team, Dalvin Cook does battle some injuries. What if Deebo is just your running back too instead of, Madison? That could be an option. Or, same thing, you have Adam Thielen, Deebo Samuel, and then Justin Jefferson, an absolute stud, star-studded, 3-headed wide receiver monster to try to go ahead and tackle down Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Because if you're going to go out and pay Kirk Cousins $35 million a year, you might as well go all in. Because if you're just trying to settle for 8-9 wins every year, I don't really understand what's the even point of doing that. So how much would it cost to get Deebo? It's similar to what the price is for DK as well. I'm going to go ahead and give up a 3rd and a 1st and then a 2nd-round pick. We're also just trying to make these trades, a little bit different so it's not the same thing over and over again. Let's just say in a crazy, crazy world, both receivers are like, we want to come to the Vikings. Who would you pick? Would you pick Deebo? Would you pick DK? Let me know down in the YouTube comments right now, DS for Deebo Samuel or DK for DK Metcalf. The final player that I'm going to bring up here is Andre Dillard, the former 1st-round pick in, I believe, 2019, is 26 overall. And he's a good right tackle. And I know for the Vikings, they're looking for another tackle. You went ahead, you drafted Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech in round 1. He's going to play the left side, but you still need somebody on your right side because, let's face it, last year, whether it was Udo, it was just it was a turnstile, and Cousins was getting killed back there. So if you want to go ahead and invest in a tackle, sure, he's predominantly been a left tackle before, But why not? Let's get creative. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Now, I'll be 100% honest. I don't know if the Eagles would go ahead and accept this. If I was Philadelphia, I could see, potentially wanting to start out maybe at a third-round pick. But let's say you've been trying to trade him. He was a player that was coming up during the trade rumors all last offseason. You're like, you know what? We just want to get rid of him. That's when you go ahead. That's when you pounce, which is what I did here. 5th-round pick, 156 overall. The Vikings get Andre Dillard. So it's trivia time. Remember, at the very beginning of today's show, I said, what year did the Vikings play their first season in the NFL? If you got it right, shout out to you. This might surprise people. I was not alive during this time. However, my mom was born this year. So drum roll, please. 1961. That was the year the Vikings played their first season in the National Football League. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show around the latest superstar players that the Vikings could go out and get. Hopefully you also enjoyed the trivia as well. If you made it this far in the video, major shout out to you. Go ahead and subscribe, or you can take the link that you see below, youtube.com/Vikings Today, and send it to a friend.